Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Harebrained Games. Today we're going to talk about a game called Sleeping Gods. As you can see here, Sleeping Gods is an adventure game with many elements that help promote that adventure sense. It is a long game. It is 1 to 4 players, and it really reaches into the depths of storytelling mixed with interesting game mechanisms, or so it says. Let's find out. Okay, let's take a look at what comes inside Sleeping Gods. You get a lot of empty boxes. No, you don't. You don't have any room for anything in this box, despite the fact that it's rather sizable. I have set up the game because I'm not going to try and show. There's a lot of spoilers here. I'm going to try to limit that as much as possible. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what comes into it. This is the command console for a solo player game. And so if you're playing multiplayers, you're going to have different people having different of these 9 characters around the table. They can all pick and choose which characters they want to have and play with. But as for me, when you're solo, you're playing all 9 characters, which looks daunting, but it's actually not that bad. But you have this book, and this book is where you're going to sail into your adventures. I've already gone from the first place. I'm just going to go back to page 2. When you begin, you're going to start here. I believe somewhere here. You start on this map here. You'll notice that the map is separated by different regions. You're going to travel from these regions. You have market cards. Market cards are splintacular because they give you bonuses. You have your character cards for your crewmen or crew people. Your market cards, you have a variety of tokens. As a Kickstarter person, you get these nice chunky every last coin. Guess where that movie's from. Anyway, fatigue tokens, health, etc. You get a lot of sort of one-off tokens. Not really. You got for food. Food can be used for cooking. Wood can be used for repairing, etc. You've got different status effects, which you'll be placing at times on your character based on what happens in the game. There's also a dungeon submodule that comes with it, which has these tokens as well that you'll be utilizing. But all of these get used in various situations because the game is so grandiose in how many situations you're going to run into. What you also get is a port card. You get these, and these are very important. They're sort of double-use cards. They're abilities, and they're also used for tests. You're going to be doing some challenges, and when you do challenges, those are going to come in handy. They're called fate cards, level up cards. You've got a cacophony of different things. This is your ship. Not only do you have a ship icon here, you've got this ship action. It tells you everything you're going to need to do. You can tell I've already made my way along various points. A bunch of events, random events that are going to happen to you as you journey, little quests, and this is the big thing here. You've got your big box, and it's nice, magnetic, sealed of quest cards, adventure cards, going on. So like you've got, and then for extra space, but quest cards are basically cards that give you a little info on where you're going to go or what you should try to be heading towards. Adventure cards are used for a different variety of roles. I mean, yeah, everything has its place. You also have, again, this is the amount of events you get. You only use a subset of these events during any one playthrough or run through. Arcade mode, which is available in the expansion, or the expansion that comes with the Kickstarter. What else do you get? Well, you get this handy cheat sheet, which comes inside of it, which means it's already ready to go, which is beautiful. If anyone has ever done printed out these custom sheets, is going to just absolutely love it because you get all the information without doing a lot of page flipping. You get a journal log, which is where you're going to do a lot of carrying over of your status. So this is your save game file, basically. And on the back, you have an opportunity, and so you can do 2 pages of this to kind of annotate your experience and adventure and give you like tips and hints for where you went, how you went, what to do, etc. You can wipe the slate clean during different runs, or you can keep going. You've got the quick start guide, which is honestly quite helpful. But yeah, we got quite helpful. And then yeah, it tells you a little bit of kind of everything you need to do. You got your rule book, and the rule book is rather thick, but it's got everything you need, all the various things you got going on. Look at that. Look at that. Turn overview. Everything you need to know. very, very well laid out. I'm already reviewing. I shouldn't be doing that. And then this is the secret sauce right here. This is the book. This is the book of wonders, the book of pages, the book of text. And whoop, I'm going to give you a little bit. Whoop. But it's your standards, almost sort of choose your own adventure, but interesting, where you're actually, read a little bit, decide what to do based on what you do. You go do things, and then of course you've got monster cards, and you're going to be fighting monsters. There's kind of a Tetris style attack sequence going on here, where you're going to be doing damage, and how these guys are lined up will determine how the damage goes. Very interesting stuff. So that's what comes in the box, and I'm going to give you a little bit more of a breakdown of play. But again, I'm not going to do my normal run through because there's some spoilerness here that I just don't want to give away to people. Okay, so what makes Sleeping Gods so special? Well, there's a lot. There's a lot of special things here. We're going to go through and give you an example of what happens on a round. Now, if you're playing multiple players, you're going to have this token, or who's the that you're going to pass around, who's in charge, and no matter whose turn it is, there's some things that are going to happen. You're going to pick a ship action. The ship action is kind of what, it gives you a little bit of relief in some ways, in that you can choose one of these spaces to go to. You can't stay on the same one. And either draw one of these ability cards, because you're going to like these ability cards. I've got a couple here. Actually, we're going to move these. Let's just pretend that we're starting over. And then you go, hey, I'm going to go to the bridge. And if I go to the bridge, I get one of these ability cards. Oh, I wish I'd kind of left that in there. This number is important for when you're doing challenges, so you like these to be in the deck. The big numbers are better. They help you make sure that you pass challenges without taking hits. Or this can become ability on any one of your characters. Let's take a look at the characters. Each character has a nice shirt, apparently, and a token. And right now, this guy is fatigued. These are fatigue tokens, but he's got these two icons here that are going to be used for challenges, and he's got 2 slots for abilities. Plus, he's got some information on how you're going. He's got health points, like his ability to his accuracy, and then the damage he can inflict when he actually hits an enemy. So that's what's going on. So we got these. So I draw one of these. And I'm the active player. Again, as a solo player, I'm the only active player. When you're doing multiple players, this obviously only goes to the multiple players. And then you collect 2 tokens for 1 player, 3 tokens for 2 players. So I get 2 of these tokens. These are good for activating various things. You can use them almost at any time in your turn. There's a few small, subtle rules for context, like you can't move your ship when you're in the middle of combat and stuff like that. But in general, these are used for a variety of different fun things. And then you can retrieve all of the existing of these tokens, command tokens, and get them all back into the pool, because there's a finite limited number of command actions for everyone to go around in this pool. So yay, that's it. That's simple as it is. If I was to go, say, here, I would get a card, and I would be able to take 2 back and get more. If I was here, I'd be able to discard cards to get fatigue off, because you want to unfatigue your crew. Here you can heal people. Here you can get these tokens that kind of give you like, ooh, yay, I get meat. But unfortunately, I take a ship damage, etc., etc. So that's what that does. Then we do an event. Always do an event. This is the last of the. They're sequentially from easy to more difficult to really, really tough events. I'm around the fact that I'm now done with the easy events. I'm going into the more difficult events. But giant catfish. Oh, I don't know what happens, but something would have happened there. And I'm not going to give it away. I just don't want to give it away. And then the fun part. Well, it's all fun, but you get 2 actions. You can travel, explore, go to the market, or go to port. For the most part, you're going to be traveling and exploring. Traveling is a matter of taking to travel, you have to do a challenge. Challenges are where we're going to talk about. In traveling, you can pick one player to add their craft. Sort of, this is the craft. This is what you do when you're going to travel. You pick a craft action. So you can choose not to have anybody participate. If you do have them participate, there's a chance you can travel farther. We're not going to have anybody participate because, well, we're not. That's okay. So we flip this token. It's a 3. 0 to 3 means I get to move once, which means I can move anywhere from here to here, here to here, here to here. So I'm going to move here. So say all the crew moves here. Now, nothing normally happens. If I was to move into an area here, I would have to do a challenge. This is perilous terrain, and everyone would have to participate. Well, let's do that. So if I did that, then everyone would have to take a challenge. I'd have to decide who should be involved in this challenge. Now, for solo, it's not so bad, but for others, you kind of have to you have to give up some of your command tokens to participate. But I own all the characters, so I can't do anything here. He can't participate because, well, he's already fatigued. He's tired. I need to go to port and heal and get him unfatigued, defatigued, anti-fatigued. So here, we're going to do a strength test here. We'll do a strength test here. That's 2. Now, if I flip this, and it's 3, yes, then I have survived the challenge and I don't have to take the ship damage, which is great. You've got 11 spots for ship damage, and you don't want them all filled, because as they're filled, certain things become off limits. You have to go into port and basically do some repairs, etc., just like your typical adventure game would expect. Everything's pretty contextual here. So you've just traveled. Then we can explore. You can explore any of these connected. So right now we have 63, and that would be connected. And so I would flip in the book to 63 if I choose to explore as my second action. It might tell me some things like, oh, blah, 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 make a video on harebrained games or lose 1 health or something. And then you do that action. The market is if you ever land here where one of these are, you can do a market action. Markets are interesting. They let you, as you're accruing money and do it, you can actually take, I think, 7 cards from the market, and you can choose to buy different things. And those things go over here, where you've got, you start off with some interesting things already, but you can go over here and you can build up a nice arsenal of different things that you can do. Most of these are fueled by command actions. So say, for example, what if I didn't pass this test, but I really didn't want to take another damage? Well, I could use a command token here, and that lets me retry my fate and see if I can get a better result. Now, once you use them on these cards, they're done. For example, if I was to say, do this and pay 1 food, which I have, I could remove 1 fatigue and heal. And so that's pretty cool, but that stays on there until we pull them back. That's why these actions that have you bringing back tokens are so valuable through the course of play. And then the port action is pretty simple. This is where you go into when you're going to be able to do things like spend 4 coins, and 4 money is not inexpensive. That's 4 coins. To basically get fatigue off of every crew member. You can repair your ship. You can heal some of your crew specifically. You're going to gain XP over the course of time. You can track it on this handy counter sheet here, and then you're going to spend it, and that will let you level up these. Each character has some level ups that you can employ for them. And that's basically the gist of the functionality of the game. What it doesn't get into is the thrill of the game when you're doing these adventures, when you're running into combat. And combat is interesting because we'll just do a quick example here. And this is well documented in the book, but you kind of shuffle, you place them, let's place them here. The combat situation is interesting because you have a defense. So you have an accuracy and a defense, you have a base damage, and then you have these sort of like weak points, if you've ever played games that have weak points, where you attack the weak points to get rid of the character. And that's really powerful. You have these 4 tokens, which again, as single player, you're just going to decide where everything goes. As multiplayer, it could get interesting. You can give tokens to other players who have characters you think are going to do better. Because you're going to see here, like, oh, he's not the best fighter. This guy's pretty sweet as a fighter. And nobody beats the Mac. She's got serious fighter power. So say we started with her, and she has a 4, and so she's going to go do a fate. 4 and 5 is 9, no problem there. And then, let me pause. Okay, so we have 4 plus 5 is 9. We more than exceed the 5 here. So we get to deal damage. Now, how much damage is it? Well, 2. Plus, discard, you can discard any and add another one. So let's do 3. Let's do that. We discard that. Might have been helpful, but we really want to do some damage on this sucker. And how do we assess damage? Well, it's pretty cool. You have to place every damage adjacent, but you can start wherever. So I was attacking this one. So I'm going to put one here. And not only this has a pretty potent value. It gives you ability to, it hits for 1 health, so now there's only 3 health left. Get rid of all the health on this character, and you've defeated it. It also negates the ability for it to do an additional damage when it counterattacks, because combat is not bloodless. There's going to be damage. Unless you can take something out ASAP, it's going to hit you back, and you're going to have to deal with the fact that you're going to, combat is not, it's not Disney. So I put it here, and that negates this section. Now I can go adjacent anywhere I want. Now the majority of damage has to be on what I hit. I can also place it splash damage over here. So anything adjacent I can put over, and I've just done some seriously cool stuff. Not only have I taken this higher defensive character and been able to still damage him, because it's not real easy to hit for, it would have been harder to get through and hit him than it would have been if I just done the splash damage. So you're swinging your sword, you're hitting stuff, you hit the Mythian guard, happens to glance off and knock cut the hand off of the Mythian brute, yay! Not only that, but I also have this synergy token, which means I can take my synergy token and I can give it to some other character. That's cool. So say we were going to have him attack next. Why is that cool? Because during his turn, he's going to be able to use that synergy token for an extra 2 precision. Now that's a cool combo. Synergy, baby. Synergy. And then a third one we're going to just put there. Now we've done 3 damage. We rock. All, happiness and merriment abound. But we haven't completely gotten rid of him. So he's going to attack for 3 plus the number of damage. So 3. So unfortunately, Mac is going to take 3 damage, and so we're going to be looking into ways to heal her over time after the battle. And then we go to the next character and say we would have him attack next, and he would do his damage and whatever until either you win or you lose. But the combat is interesting because it's not just simply like I do 3 damage, there you go. It's how you place the damage, how the battle is arranged, etc., etc. So that part there is not just a nominal subset of gameplay. It's actually a pretty meaty gameplay. And the monsters, I showed you the basic first 2 because those are in the quick starter, but there's a lot more going on with monsters and characters than that. This is the tip of the iceberg. And those empty boxes, those are for storing, logically storing everything so that you can pull it out and get back in business pretty quickly. Now, I would highly suggest getting some little token trays or whatever for these, just because it's a little easier. But in general, this is Sleeping Gods, the game with the expansion from Kickstarter. We didn't even scratch the surface. I literally just hawked a Louie on the tip of the iceberg, and that's all you saw. There's so much going on here. What do I think of the game, as if you didn't know? Let's talk about that now. Okay, final thoughts on Sleeping Gods. Let's go over the cons and then the pros. The cons are not very pronounced. I didn't really have any, other than to say, here is a warning for you. If you're someone who really needs complete replayability, you are going to find that this is a vast game, but there are places where you're going to be maybe wanting to repeat some of the same things to prepare yourself. By that I mean is when you start where you're at, it's generally pretty safe, and you start in the same place every time. So you're going to see some of the same, you're going to go to the same little quest areas and all that stuff and build up over time. It's not identical because there's still events that happen every turn that are different, that stretch you in different ways. But when you're in that area, you're going to branch out, you're going to discover something, you're going to go right till the end of that particular play session, and you're going to be done. When it's time to go revisit it again and go back and play it some more, and to revisit this, to get all these totems and stuff, you start in the same place. So you're going to be branching out the same way. However, once you reach out and branch out pretty far, you really have a lot. That's where the variety settles in, and that's where you can, I'm going to go this direction this time. I'm going to go this direction, but I'm going to go down here. I'm going to try this. But you still have this, and I feel it's important to maybe do a little bit of the samey kind of initial things just to prepare yourself better so you're not behind the 8 ball for future things into the unknown. That's the only thing I'd have to say, is that yes, is there replayability? Absolutely. Is that replayability start to finish? No. The first, say, 5% of your journey might be the same every time you iterate. But that's been
that's a trivial thing compared to the amount of content and the richness of the experience in that content. Now, I'm not a particularly avid storytelling for the sake of storytelling person. If I'm going to have storytelling kind of a game, and no matter how great that story is, for the most part, I'm going to want it coupled with something intriguing. There are exceptions, as you see Lands of Galzir behind me here. I think is a okay, I'm doing that one too, but uh, forget that one. Like, pretend that one doesn't exist. In general, I don't do like Tales of the Arabian Nights and stuff. I find the value in them for others, but for me, I want meat. I want some experience. I want to feel level progression. I want to feel sense. I don't want to be, just basically reading someone else's story for the most part. However, this meshes so well with the adventure part that you are doing a lot of adventuring. It ticks all the boxes. It's not just the story, and the story's vast, but the things you're doing in it. There's so many different events that can happen, and it progresses from easy to difficult. The runs that you do, like if you played roguelites on a computer where you're like, hey, and every time you go, you get a little bit better, but you still run through the same thing. That's kind of the feel here, except that you're getting more and more, you're getting your crew beefed up, they get beefed up, they get to do more powerful things, you get to travel farther, do more stuff, flick away the things that used to cause you trouble. It's a great leveling system it's a great mesh of storytelling and leveling. Some people like the combat, some don't. I think it's glorious and delicious. I really do, because I really am done with games that are like, there are certain games, I'm done with that. There was a phase in life when it was okay to have your story or your role-playing game be, here's your dice, and your bonuses and all of your level up and all of that just gives you more dice. And then you roll and see how many hits you got. I'm done with that. After Galaxy Defenders, I was done with that because I saw what could happen with a very rich and interesting and intriguing way of handling combat that makes you feel like it's more than just do everything, all these intelligent things, and then leave it up to the dice to decide just whether your intelligence pays off or you just gets, screwed over by the dice. Here you don't. Here you have some things to think about. Not even just the enemies you take on, but how they're arranged, and go, okay, if I do this, you're gonna, and it's not bloodless. This isn't bloodless combat. You don't go, unless you take something straight up out, like right away, and that's not going to happen later on in the adventure. You're going to have to come up and go like, okay, I'm going to do these. You really do strategize your crew. You really do tailor it. Like, I want, you might be my main guy mostly, but I'm going to start with you. I'm going to have you attack this enemy. I'm going to try and get you so you can do a little splash damage to this harder to hit guy next to him. I'm going to try and do whatever I can to fit the Tetris pieces. I actually really love it. I would love to see that. I absolutely love it. I think it's one of my favorite story-driven combat situations yet. Dead Reckoning is also great, and there's a couple others that do really great combat, Galaxy Defenders. To feel like I actually had input and I had some smart decisions, not just, preparatory leading things up. I also like that even after you roll, even after you do your, yeah, even after you make that choice of like, okay, I'm gonna commit these guys to battle, then we're gonna see, flip that. In this case, it's flipping a card, not rolling a dice. But even after that, you still have things you can do from the equipment, and tons of equipment, tons of things you can do to manipulate post-combat. I like that too. I don't necessarily personally like when you have to make all these decisions before you roll. And then go, well, that was a waste of time because the roll just sucked. I got a 1, snake eyes, and so all that preparation and stuff. I like when you can say, you know what? Yes, I'm going to commit. I'm going to take a risk. Then I'm going to roll the dice. Then I'm going to have risk mitigators that I do have predetermination to be able to use. I like that mixed system. I think it's great. The storyline's great. The characters are great. They're individual. The bonding of these characters together is smart and intelligent. Instead of some convoluted buddy system or whatever, it's literally just like, hey, if I, it's a little bit weird how it connects. I don't know how it connects, but you hit someone in the shoulder. Well, somehow that lets you give a token to someone else. Yes, that's a little bit weird. But the fact that you can give them a token, that token will benefit them and say like, we're going to have you attack next. So by giving you this token, you're going to get a beefier chance to do something. And then you give me the token back. Each of these characters of your deck on your ship are fantastic. I love the fact that you have this meaningful ship mode where you are like, okay, I got to figure out what actions I'm going to take. I got to work with my teammates to get that, that ship level decision making, do an event, and then be able to go from there to go into like, now we adventure, now we move the ship, now we do these things. And the wealth and variety, not just in the story and just the vast places you could go, but in the ways you get there and the equipment you can use and the way you can outfit your characters. I've mentioned this over and over. The storage system is great. This is not, I won't lie. If you put this game away and you bring it back out, you're going to spend some time setting it up, but that's okay. Let alone the expansion pack and the dungeons and all of this stuff. Everything, it's the smartest, most intelligent adventure game system I've ever seen. I'm so excited for the sequel. I will be playing that one like tons too. It's not forever. It's not like you're always going to have, oh, we're going to have random dungeons, we're always going to have random content, but you're going to get so much bang for buck for the content once you invest in. So I found it immersive. I found it compelling. It's the reason why last year it won so many awards and why it won one of, my personal award as one of the top games of 2022. And so that's what I have. So thanks again, and we'll see you next time on Harebrained Games.